그 다 주지 다 간진 증명 파조 당 나와 씁니다. 냠도 가져 그 샤프슈 당 추시야 당 지어로 와. 근데 디 슈라다 간진 남들 당 문트니 아니 다 공가출라 가져지야 파트 로뉴슈 근데 이사로
로뉴슈 락스레
락스로 디 나니 다시 간진 남들 그 추송당데 야지 믹서 그 말아도 돼 같은 데 거지 다 추송당 로마 용당 로마 쳤당 참마 남기는 나타지로 디참
Khenchen Namdrol Rinpoche, he has given us, we Western disciples, a lot of his faith, or rather not faith, but confidence and trust. And so it's really a responsibility because, you know, he decided to give these highest teachings, you might say, most advanced teachings that exist in the world on these two subjects of Dayermen, the Dzogpa Khenpo. And he decided to do that, and then he trusts us to make the proper preparation, as I already explained, the provisional translation. And so I feel like he has given a lot of responsibility and trust to Lama Chunam and myself. And it really reflects the kind of teacher that he is. Extremely organized. That's the kind of teacher that I've noticed. And I've worked with a lot of teachers. He's not that spontaneous. Of course, while he's delivering, it comes like that, you know, when he starts just giving the Upadesha instruction from his heart. But he's on the subject, he's on the category, and he doesn't deviate from that. And he never interjects any ordinary things. There's no jokes. There's no entertaining disciples. Zero. And I've never seen any teacher as strict as he is in that regard. When he enters the shrine room and he prostrates before the throne and he gets on the throne, and we always do shower of blessings, the full puja beforehand every time. Certain prayers have to do it. Recite Vajra Guru mantra, prayer to Manjushri, have to do it. 7-line prayer. And then he does all his long supplication prayers. And then he cultivates the bodhicitta and he begins. He is so present there, and he assumes the role of the great Pandit, great Mahapandita, scholar, and realized master. And he stays just like that the entire time until dedication of merit and final prayers, and gets off the throne and walks out of the shrine room. And as he's walking out, he may look at you and smile. That's it. And so most of the students in the West, they never experienced a teacher like that before. And you do hear people complaining, you might say, you know, how can I make a connection with Khenpo Namdrol Rinpoche? He doesn't look at me during the teachings.
No joke, no looking.
Yeah, there's no joke, there's nothing funny, there's no smiling, there's nothing for me, you know. Students want to be acknowledged by their teacher. So he definitely does not do that. And so a lot of students, although they have received the highest, there's no doubt that there's no teacher that they've ever received as many teachings from as they have from him. And that level of teaching and professional delivery, he is number one. But they will still say, I don't know him. He doesn't know me. And that's true. but you know, that's how he has given all the information of how to know the Guru as a Buddha, not as an ordinary person, as your friend. And he teaches this all the time. And so if they don't get that, then I guess they don't get the connection, right? So this is unique to Khenchen Namdrol Rinpoche. And don't get me wrong, his students, his Western students, his Western disciples, they greatly appreciate him. You know, they're extremely grateful for Rinpoche and for the entire process of our translation group working with him. They're extremely grateful, but they also are ordinary people who wish to hang out with the Lama, and that never happens. He doesn't hang out with his students. So, even with us, you know, we don't get to see him very much. And I miss that too, but I also don't, because I realize the value of not doing that. Because the way I see him is as a Buddha and not as an ordinary person. I don't need to know his ordinary lifestyle. I really don't need to, and I shouldn't. You know, there's 3 ways to serve the Guru, and the highest way is through practice. The least way is by being an attendant. The middle way is to give monetary offerings to sustain them. And so I think we all should really strive to do the highest way, which is to take the teaching and internalize it and not be grasping to have to hang out and be around him and literally waste his time. So that's, you know, a main observation in his uniqueness. Not to mention his ability to deliver Dharma in the most organized, strikingly penetrating way that I've ever experienced. He is the quintessential teacher.
其实这次我们真正能够专门来到这个地方，跟桑吉康卓拉做这样的一个访谈的缘起，也是来自于看见Namdrol Rinpoche。我去年专门去尼泊尔跟看见Namdrol Rinpoche关于法王如意宝和贝诺法王的一些访谈，长达5个小时左右的一个访谈进行后，有一次看见Namdrol Rinpoche跟我说，如果你能跟桑吉康卓拉做一个访谈的话，也是一个不错的。他说是桑吉康卓是很好的一个翻译家，也是很好的一个实修者。然后呢，我这次刚好要来美国的时候，我提前跟看见Namdrol Rinpoche说，我这次要去美国，能不能我们就是安排，就刚好这样的一个访谈，所以看见Namdrol Rinpoche亲自的，就是指导下促成了这个因缘，所以这个背后有那么殊胜的一些因缘在里面。所谓的看见Namdrol Rinpoche是什么样的一个上师，大概我们现在已经有一个初步的了解了，哈。主要的，但对我们人主要人，但难的，但这个这个人已经跟我说了，但天生的地势，干里边看不起的哟嘞，那小个龙娃了出现过那样，哦，马达巴些巧马的哒，东儿点巴些巧马的哒，我这样着我的理由嘞，家了出现过那样，我当不你就，恭喜发财，啊，那说不写过的事，就让他，等你忙不要嘞。真这个地主进啦，罗马个拉马个罗马啦，帕尔顿国个地主进啦，看见Namdrol Rinpoche真这个空个土木马用比个，去送当这当，上周当破是有了啦，这那巧龙吧个，拿出年龄把它做啦，实际干这些太不要嘞，没别干这些下个要嘞，你把干这些通要嘞。这样子，是吧？
it's true that it's very difficult right now, but according to the teachings, we have been in these degenerate times for quite some time now, for several hundred years. But it's getting worse and worse, and all the more reason that it's important to keep the lineage tradition pure and not compromise. But a lot of the teachers are compromising because they feel like they need to connect with the so-called disciples. But as Rinpoche is saying, the disciples are telling the teachers what to teach and basically what to do. That's not the way that this tradition works. Never has been. And so if you really want to follow the Tibetan Buddhist Vajrayana tradition, it's better to learn what are the requirements. And the requirements involve the qualifications of a teacher and the qualifications of a disciple. Those two things. And then really checking to see if that's the teacher that you want to study with. And the teacher should check you and see if that's the student that you want to have relying upon you. But this process, although it should happen, it's not really taking place, right? Because Dharma is happening so quickly. Lamas come and students, well, should I go to that teaching? I don't want to miss it. And, older friends say, well, you should go. That's an important Wang. And so it gets very convoluted and confusing. But in noticing that for myself, I still feel I am not going to just run after any Lama that comes to town. Of course, I don't need to. I've had a lifetime of receiving everything. But even if that wasn't the case, if I felt I needed something, and there's still many transmissions that I could receive, I'm going to be very careful about who I receive it from. And it doesn't matter what level tulku they are, or Rinpoche, and how big their name is, or any of those things. What matters to me is if they're an authentic lineage master or female lineage teacher. Male, female, doesn't matter to me. I really appreciate, like Mindrolin Khandro Rinpoche, is amazing. She has her feet in both worlds. And so I would choose someone who's holding to the lineage 100% without compromising. And that's the only way that Buddha Dharma is going to survive. Otherwise, it will not survive. And we see it degenerating and declining in many places. But Khenchen Namdrol Rinpoche knows, and that's why he's giving his whole life's essence, his heart blood, to Western students, trusting us to have an authentic transmission so we can see how this is meant to be done. And if we don't notice that, then we're very stupid. So we have to make sure, that we can really have a pure representation of Dharma going forward. That's the only way I can think to answer that. You also can't go out there and start criticizing other teachers for what they do, because it is true that there's something for everyone on their level. And if that's helping them, that's good. But there's a difference between doing things that will help you to improve your life in the world and connecting with the lineage that brings you liberation, that takes you out of samsara. And it's only the true lineage and the great masters who have the caliber to do that, to give us that blessing and that chance. That's how I see it. And so, you can choose staying in samsara and having happiness, which is of the vehicle of gods and humans, or you can choose liberation and walk the path that leads to it. So I think we have many great teachers available, like when we're going to Namdrol Ling these years, receiving the Khandro Ningtik, and when I go into that Shedra Lakang, this huge temple for the Shedra, the scholastic college, there's like 1,000 monks and nuns between age 30 and 60. They're in the prime of their lives, and they're sitting there, and they're highly trained, and they're full of devotion, and you see that kind of thing, and you really realize there's hope for the future. Those are the kind of teachers who need to come and go across the world and teach the Dharma. And I think that's what's going to happen. Yes. Well, she's already doing it, you know, but sitting there in the room.
刚刚张迪看着了分享的这个部分，就是上次也是跟着南卓仁波切在南印度南卓林寺传一个叫Khandro Ningtik，就是空心心地的大圆满法的时候的一个情况。而且那个时候，其实来的现场的上千个喇嘛，也是某种程度上都是筛选出来的，就是有一定的这个修学的基础的喇嘛可以参加他的这个课程，再加上有来自感觉派，或者宁玛的其他的这个大的寺院的这些大圣师，也来到现场专门。完全以学生的身份，从Khenchen Namdrol Rinpoche那边接受这个大圆满的法，包括刚刚他分享的这个门铃Khandro Rinpoche，在西方很有影响力的一个藏传的一个女种，Rinpoche，一个女生，一个Rinpoche，她也是当时专门来求法，在那边就是要连续待到1个月，应该是到我记着为了Khandro Ningtik。
Dalo dawa chik sungire, dalo tapu gire.
就是几年持续就是1个月1个月这样的一个教授，这就是也是。
But it's like the younger generation. There they are, you know, because of Pana Rinpoche's kindness, and that institution, and Khenchen Namdrol, and Khenchen Sewang Gyatso, and Khenchen Pema Sherab. Teaching there now, even this Dorje Wangchuk, these kind of teachers, they come from there. And I think this is really so important. And I mean, eventually we have to have that kind of institution in the West, but it's not even close. We're not there yet, right?